Good day and gratitude, family. Good day and gratitude. This is Face the Nation with Bolden Unchained on Bolden Unchained for Bolden Unchained. And we are back again with another reading of our heroes, sheroes, and saviors. Yes, they saved us. They saved us. Don't feel no type of way about it if it ain't for the benefit of you and them. Our ancestors saved us. That's it. That's all. It's true. They saved us from slavery. I was just getting trying to take some notes and stuff that I had been thinking about of what we're reading and stuff, because I would like, as we grow, I would like to just do a little summary at the end of each chapter. All of us, of course, now it's just myself and the ancestors. And, if you stop by and stuff, feel free, to get me a message and I can add you on here. If we can work it out, we can work it out. We can find a way. YouTube's got tutorials on everything. So I was just taking some notes and stuff, but I wanted to start out with a video first, and then we'll go into our reading, because that right there was something for tonight. But I do want to go over some of the heroes that we learned about already from our morning readings. Let's start the video. Oh, let me get the introductions out the way. This is Face the Nation with Bolden Unchained, and we are here to assist Black America and Black media with the uncovering and the confronting of the many agendas, events, projects, objectives, operations, acts, laws, codes, compromises, sabotages, studies, all of it that have been put in place against Black America. Bolden Unchained is here to assist Black America and Black media in uncovering these many sabotages against Black America. And we want to say to Black America, we are in another awakening. Black America is in another awakening. This very well may be the first awakening for other people, for some other people. However, for Black America, this is our second awakening. This channel is dedicated, committed to, first and foremost, Black America. Our first and final concern is Black America, the welfare of Black America, the well-being of Black America, the sanity of Black America. That's our first and final concern. We are not here to hurt anyone. We are not here to target anyone, but we're here to heal Black America. Whether that looks like uncomfortable facts, truth, statistics, exposings of the many atrocious trauma, the traumatic events that our people have endured, then that uncomfortability is very worth it. Because this was uncomfortable to my ancestors, to our ancestors. This was uncomfortable. This was inhumane to our ancestors. So for anybody that feel like we don't want to listen to that, it's too much, it's too late, ain't nothing we can do about it, you ain't supposed to be here. You need to move on. Move around and move on. Because this is not for you. Whoever you are, whatever your color is, if you find yourself here and this is not resonating with you, then you need to leave. Because this right here is about the healing of Black America. And Black America, we can't heal until we deal with what broke us and what's still breaking us. And that's them roots. That's these roots right here. Yes, that's where we beginning. We didn't begin in the thick of slavery because we're a little late making it here to the fight. See, I tend to take the long way around with things. So we're a little late making it to the fight. You know, I mean, I took every exit, every detour to go my own way. So this is where we starting at. That's where we starting at. I'm gonna break that. The copyright disclaimer under 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. The fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Now we got that out the way. Yeah, my throat's still kind of stressed. And it probably ain't helping it because I'm reading a little bit. I just want to say to everybody, Black America and white America, and the other Americans. Y'all see that fog out there? If you can, go the other way. Cover your mouth and your nose. Because the fog that we went through the past couple of days wasn't just regular fog, y'all. It wasn't just, now my voice be a little dry when I wake up. See, that's why we're supposed to wake up with water, room temperature water. And not only does it help your digestive, but it starts lubricating everything. But anyway, since I went through that fog, my voice has been like this all day. All day. And me doing my little lives and stuff, I might get a little vocal. But it shouldn't aggravate my vocal cords, my throat like this. This is uncommon. So I was doing a little research on that fog. It's all over social media too. Black America, if you on social media, and if you're looking at this, I'm gonna need y'all to go watch some Black media. Turn that bullshit off, the cooking and stuff, because you ain't even got the ingredients to go in there and cook what you watching on TV. Yeah, it look good, but you ain't finna cook it. You ain't got the ingredients for it. You've been sitting down looking at it for an hour and a half, dish after dish after dish. Get up and go find one Black media channel so that you can start unlearning the bullshit. That's what Black America must do. I say, go start with African diaspora. There's a couple of Black media channels. Just put it in and go to one. If you need some help, then reach out and I'll give you one that I listen to. Not one that's really, really, really deep, because if you ain't ready for it and stuff, you got to start small. But anyway, I was doing my little stuff on the fog because I just knew it wasn't normal. Hell, when I came out of my job, the fog was still there. So I see in other places it lingered. I didn't know it covered more than several states. Do y'all know that fog was in Southern California, Kansas, Minnesota, Arkansas, the UK, Oklahoma, Georgia, Washington State, Iowa, Arizona, North Carolina, California Bay, Virginia, Central Nebraska, Utah, Wisconsin, Colorado, Pennsylvania, New York, Massachusetts, Maine, New Jersey, Indiana, New Hampshire, Tennessee got some fog. Oh, Texas, Southern Alaska, Anchorage, Chicago, Virginia. That fog was all over the place. I know what we got to start reading, though. I still didn't find it, but give me a minute here. Just ancestors hold. But that fog was in many states. And some people was caught in that fog. They were literally caught in it. Not in a car, not in a camper where they can close the windows. Literally caught outside in it, other than pulling your shirt over your head. There really was no escaping it like that. I was in the car, so I did have some shield. What can I find? So I was in the car, so I did have some shield, if you want to call it that, against the fog, but still, as we can see, I'm still kind of hoarse from it. But I was looking for one of my most important books for us today. Allegedly 2025. But I will find it because we're going to have to read that book when others join. It's a good thing we can go back to these videos. And since I said I do goof up a lot, so I may, start editing. I will eventually. One thing at a time, though, okay? Because you can always fast forward it. You can tell when I'm talking about something, prosperity, as opposed to when I'm reading something. So, yeah. However, I wanted to say, I didn't find that. And the book is a Furnace of Affliction by Anjali Shabazz. And it's about the radiation that's in the air from Fukushima. The explosion of the nuclear reactors, it released so much, the plume went up and released all of that radiation into the atmosphere. And if I'm getting it right, I haven't read it in a couple of years and stuff, other than just this and that, little parts of it that I need to keep myself updated with and stuff. But we're going to read the whole book. These books must become our everyday life. The way we watch TV, food shows, reality TV, DNA test, Maury, Jerry, the judge shows and stuff, we should be reading and watching documentaries just the same. So we will read that book from front to back. We'll read that book. We're going to make these, our new lifestyle. We're going to change our lifestyle around because Black America, we got to do it because the well-off Black America knows these things. The well-off Black America, it's easier for them. They don't have the obstacles of bills and, things that we have to supplement, to get through our day. We kind of like not rich and wealthy down here. Our education, some of us, we didn't learn as much as other places did learn. Just things that have happened in life. But I want to say some of the symptoms of the fog. And if y'all was caught in it, if you was in the fog, whether in the house, you seen it. I even seen that some dogs refused to even go outside when it was fog out there. They wouldn't go. And they say when a pet is trying to let you know something, pay attention. So they were saying that people was having muscle soreness, sore throat, mine is irritated, body aches, nausea, vomiting, cramps, headaches, chills, no appetite, unable to sleep. One person that was out in it for a long amount of time, I don't know if that's the person that was jogging or what have you. I'm sure it was a lot of people caught outside in it because, like I said, this fog covered all the states, it looked like to me. But some of them were on here twice, like Kansas. I had Kansas on the list twice because when I wrote it down, I think I wrote it down twice, but I don't know. But so I'm pretty sure it's more than a handful or a couple of dozens that were actually caught out in this. Some people said that when they were caught off in it and stuff, they had flu-like symptoms. Just what the hell is going on, Mayor Fry? You right here in Minnesota. Waltz, what are y'all doing? Y'all co-signing this genocide against life? And you acting like you don't know about it? And then I did see another video. Someone else was saying that fog can cause symptoms like excessive sneezing, itchy eyes, runny eyes. Your eyes are starting to irritate you and stuff. And I think it said that was more or less in people that had asthma. People that had asthma, people that got asthma, fog will affect them. But just normal people, fog don't affect normal people. It's fog. But this fog right here, y'all, it had like particles in it. I wish I could find a video of it, but I got another video for us to watch. I just wanted to mention the fog. And I'm going to keep mentioning the fog because, you know, fog it. That's what I seen referring to the fog. They done named it Fogvid. 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 Well, I think Clovid is just like Clovid 32. Might be Clovid Jr. But see, that's a whole nother live right there. What we witnessed with that shot, with that vaccine. That's a whole nother live right there. Very scary, but don't be scared because you can chelate it out of your body. That's why we're going to read that book. We're going to read that book. We're going to read a lot of books. We're going to read a lot of books. We got to start detoxing. Y'all just eat as less as you can. Train your body to eat less if you can. Cut down on your sodas. I went and got me a Pepsi today. But, you know, just slack up. That's the key. Slack up on everything. Slack up on the meat. Slack up on our dairy intake. Milk, cheese, you know, eggs. Just slack up on some things. Try to eat more fruits. Try to eat more vegetables and stuff, you know. We just have to start implementing these small, very micro steps. Oh, and I want y'all to go watch Yaki, Dr. Yaki. Yaki Awakened. I want y'all to go watch him because that'll give you a little bit more inspiration and motivation as you slack up eating it, because it's going to teach you what you're eating and how it's damaging your body. That makes sense. Yaki's going to teach us how the foods we eat is really damaging our body. We ain't even supposed to be eating meat. We're not. We're supposed to be eating fruits and vegetables. Black America. We're not supposed to be living by white America's standards. See, that's what they did to us. They got us living by white America standards, and we're not supposed to. We were supposed to go our own way when we walked off of them plantations. But see, white people knew, oh, no, we can't let them go. Don't let them go. Whatever you got to do, don't you let them go. Just keep them close by. Give them some of our daughters. So they've always been able to keep us where they need us, where they want us, at least in the vicinity, because we know where they want us back. But you see what I'm trying to say? They do keep keep us around where they can monitor us and they can still, guide us, steer us, corral us, So Black America, yeah, we got some awakenings to watch. So, but I was writing here, and let's just do a little small recap because we did learn about some of the abolitionists that were white. We will give credit where credit is due. Matter of fact, here's one of the books right here. Because white America, you have no excuse for being the devilish, satanic demon that you have remained. The man John Brown. Black America gonna need white America to find the John Brown in you. Because white America, you no longer get to fake the funk and pretend that you have been sincere with Black America, and you haven't. You've never been sincere with Black America, even in procreating, building, mingling and marrying. White America's never been sincere with Black America. So let's just tell the truth about that. But that right there was John Brown, and there was a couple of others in there. I think it was Elijah Lovejoy. I think that was his name. But yeah, so we do give credit to the white non-melanin, allies that we've had through the years. And even now, I'm sure there's some out there now that, that really are sincere and empathetic, of what Black people have endured and enduring to end up like this today. Because we've never been this hard on each other before, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows that Black people have never been this hard on each other before. But when everybody looks at the historical aspect of that, they know why. But they won't say it. They won't dare say why Black America ride on ourselves like that. Why we ride on each other like that? Don't want nobody say it. See, that's how I know you might be sincere and empathetic. You might have some sympathy even for Black America. But until you come on out and say it, Black America, it's time for y'all to get gone. Get away. Get away. I don't feel like anyone is sincere. Not enough for us to reconciliate and forget, move on, because we'll never forget and move on. We can't. We can't ever forget. We can't ever move on from this. We can't, because none of y'all in society have been sincere about what happened to us. So now we won't be forgetting and we won't be moving on. We're going to forever be talking about this until you can fix your damn mouth to tell them to forget about their Holocaust. Don't tell us to forget about ours either. Matter of fact, you shouldn't even say nothing about us forgiving or toning down. Shh, don't upset white folks talking about that. Leave us the hell alone, because it's time for us. It's detrimental for us to discuss where this self-hate comes from. Why is it so rampant? Why is it just running, stampeding through our collective? And that's because white America made us hate ourselves. Y'all ancestors made us hate ourselves. So we didn't make us hate each other. We didn't forget. I don't think we forgave each other. I don't know the reason why. It could be because y'all made us hate each other. It could be because Black America feels to a certain extent that Black people didn't fight enough against slavery, which they did. Our ancestors fought every day. They planned every day. They had to wait sometimes. Like one rebellion was on, a lot of rebellions It was on the holidays. And it was one rebellion that happened on Christmas that I remember, because the slave that planned the rebellion had to wait a whole year to try it again, because that was the time when the master and all the field hands, all the what they call them, the overseers and stuff, they all was drinking and getting drunk. So, it's not like our ancestors did not fight back, because they did fight back. They never stopped fighting back because they didn't want us to go through that. So anyway, some of the abolitionists was Robert Purvis. Remember Robert Purvis? He was born to a black slave. He was born to a slave, and his father was the master. And his father was wealthy and stuff. And he was raised in the big house. And so when his daddy died, he got all the wealth and stuff, and he loved his people, his mama people. Robert Purvis did right here. And with that wealth from his father, the plantation and all that, the slaves and stuff, he sent one slave a month. Was it one slave a month? We'll have to go back in the book and find it. To the Underground Railroad. And he documented it every day for 30 years. I think it was from 1831 to 1861. And so he ended up like freeing, like assisting 9,000 slaves to their freedom. He helped them get to their freedom just by putting them on the Underground Railroad. Just by putting them on the Underground Railroad. Making sure they got there safely, so that they could go on to the next stop and the next stop until they reached freedom. That was Robert Purvis. And Samuel Cornish, remember, he was the one that had the first black newspaper called Freedom's Journal. The first black newspaper called Freedom's Journal. Yeah, that was Samuel Cornish. William Steele, he the one that moved. We try to come up with, little significance to help us remember, the names, because we have so many heroes and sheroes and scholars and critical thinkers and experts. It's amazing. So yeah, we need a little help to remember everyone, but we can do it, because you know what? I wish I could pick up that whole computer. This will do. The brain of this, the motherboard of this, the computer that we're on, is right here. Yes. See, we have untapped resources in our brain. It's like the cosmos. We see how big and expanse the sky is. But when you look out of a telescope, there's one behind me right there. When you look at a telescope, you can see a huge part of the universe, right? A huge part. It looked like that's all of it, but it ain't. Because outside of these arms, outside of that realm, woof, that's how our brain is. That's how our mind is. Black America. Wonderful. You wonderful. You so magnificent. If you only knew where you come from. And you will know. And next we have Charles Lennox Redmond. Remember, he was the greatest speaker of all time until Frederick Douglass. Yep, that was Charles Lennox Redmond. And then William and Ellen Craft, they were married. She was a real high yeller. She could pass. That's a movie we're going to watch too, called Passing. But Ellen Craft, that was their last name. William and Ellen Craft. So she could pass. So they had been thinking, how can we escape? How can we get away? I'm sure they heard about the Underground Railroad, And the Underground Railroad, it wasn't easy, y'all. We're not going to make it seem like it was you just go from this house to that house to that house. No, they were being chased, literally hunted down by dogs to find that Underground Railroad. And sometimes when they get to the house that was a station, where the slaves were until they go to the next station, they would search it. If they found slaves, then the person that hid them, that assisted the Underground Railroad, often lost their life too. The slaves sometimes made it back to the master, but oftentimes they were killed. So the Underground Railroad, it wasn't a easy journey. It wasn't a journey that was without danger. Oh, and then there's Henry Box Brown. They started calling him Box. Box came because Henry mailed himself to freedom. Yep, it's in the book. We'll go see how big the box was, but it was a little bitty tiny box. Probably looked like maybe a nice size lamp will fit in it. Or a desktop computer or something, maybe a little taller. But yeah, he just crouched down and got in the box, and he told his friends and families to nail it shut. They nailed it shut, and he was on his way. He had him some biscuits, a couple of little flasks of water, and it probably took him, 36 hours, 3 days, or what have you. And then they had the fragile sign on the top, this side up, so that way when they moved the box, they would set it right side up, and he wouldn't have to be in the box stuck upside down, And I'm sure he didn't eat that much or drink that much, because you couldn't go to the bathroom, you in the box. Just enough to keep the hunger pains down, the hunger pains away. He probably mostly just meditated, prayed, or slept, or just kept his ears open, just listened. Probably thought about the future, being free. He probably missed his family and thought about life that he was leaving on the plantation, and we can't imagine. Paul Cuff. Paul Cuff was the one. No, that wasn't Paul Cuff. I was going to say Paul Cuff stole the ship, the planter. That was Robert Smalls. Because Robert Smalls, and I remember that. That's how I was able to back that up real fast. He was made to pilot the ship Planter for the Confederate Army, and he didn't want to. He was a black man. He didn't want to pilot that ship knowing that it was finna go and kill black people and people that were trying to help black people. But see, he couldn't get to the Union Army to escape. We talked about it in one other part about the Union Army and stuff. And I think that when the Union Army got close enough to the Confederacy, that's when some of the Confederacy, the slaves that were held, would run to the Union Army to safety. But see, Robert Smalls wasn't able to, because the Union Army never got that close where he could run to them for safety. So what he did, him and some other black sailors on the ship, what he did was, the captain them had got drunk, celebrating or something. Again, they had been planning this. When they got drunk and stuff, Robert and the crew, his crew, stole the ship. They stole the ship and took the ship to the Union Army. Now, when they got close to the Union Army seen them coming, and they were like, hey, what the hell going on here? Why is the Confederate ship coming here? And they were getting ready to fire on them. But they seen the white flag, because they were holding up the white flag, letting them know, we surrender. It's us. Don't shoot. And then they realized, oh, it was a black crew. So the ship pulled in at the dock and stuff. And, Robert and them was saved. They were free. And the ship had a Gatling gun. It had some type of machine gun or something on it. It had a whole lot of ammunition. And it had some special plans and their targets, their strategies and stuff. So when he turned that ship over to the Union Army so that he could escape, it had all those valuable informations and stuff on it. And don't forget Harriet Tubman. Remember the story, Harriet Tubman and 400 black people saved, what was his name? Charles Nails. And Charles Nails was a free man. He escaped to freedom. And his master found out where he was and sent some people to get him and bring him back to slavery. Well, he had built a good life for himself. He was working for an outstanding family, and he was driving the coaches or something like that. But people knew him. People trusted him. He was a hardworking man. He was helpful. He was a an asset to the community, and people didn't want him sold back into slavery. So the people decided, oh, you're not getting him back. We're gonna press charges. So they pressed charges against the master and stuff, and they had to go to court to see what was going on with that right there before he went back to slavery and stuff. So they on their way to court to handle this case to see if we got to send him back or not. And the people that wanted him to stay was in the crowd, and the people that wanted him to go back to slavery, because they came to get him. But racist folks was everywhere and stuff. So all these people is on the street. Thousands and thousands of people is on the street, it seemed like, but it's only like 400, maybe 600 black people. No, it could have been more, but we only know that 400 got on the boat. So this is what happened. So they were walking Charles Nails, the authorities were walking Charles Nails to the courthouse. White people was all around them screaming, "Give us the nigger. We want the nigger. He's going back. He's a criminal. He's a slave. We got to send him back to slavery. His master wants him. Hang him. Give him to us. We want him." They were slobbing at the mouth. They were fiending. They were looking all animalistic and stuff, because they wanted this black man's body. They felt like, white people felt like his body was theirs. Oh, his body belongs to us. Give us him. White people just going off and stuff. You see the looks on their faces right there. Some of them were just looking like that right there, wanting to know, can we get him? But, they slobbing at the mouth and stuff. And some of the others, they just couldn't even look. They just going off about it and stuff. They want that black body. So they got him, and they taking him to the courthouse. White people going off crazy and stuff. So Harriet got in there and was talking to him, letting him know. She was waiting her moment, Harriet Tubman, because all of them was out there, Harriet was visiting her cousin when it all went down. That's how she ended up there. Harriet Tubman saved 300 slaves, could have saved more if they knew they were slaves. So Harriet got in there when she could, and she was hanging on to Nails, and she was telling her, "Hold on, brother. Hold on, we all here." Because when Harriet was there, people knew who Harriet Tubman was. The ancestors put her there. Cosmic energy put her there for that reason. So Harriet was holding on. So Harriet was hanging on to Charles Nails, and they were walking into the courthouse. All the white people going crazy around, and she was telling them, "Hold on, brother. Hold on, brother. We're going to save you. We're going to get you out of here. You just keep your eyes open. Don't you worry about me." Because the white people were beating the hell out of Harriet while she was talking to Nails, telling him to keep his eyes open and be ready. You be ready. And she had already told the people, when I get in there and get to him, y'all be ready to get him the hell out of here. So she was talking to Charles, letting Charles know, you be ready. But at the same time, she was agitating. She was agitating, and the authorities that was holding on to Charles and stuff, she shook them loose because she was agitating, and she was talking to Charles, telling him, "You're not going to die today, my brother. You're going to live. We is here with you. Your people is here with you. They're not taking you back to slavery. And he probably was so emotional. He probably was crying, and he probably felt like, all these people want my body, because white people was all around. They lunging at him. They wanted him. So, he was going through all that, but all he knew was that this little black lady was hanging on to him, telling him, my brother, you hold on. You hold on, my brother. Don't you give up. We all is here for you. And, white people beating on Harriet and stuff, but she wouldn't let him go. And she would agitate him. So at the same time, she shook him loose. The guards must have lost their grip or something. So Charles Neff took out running. Now, the people, the black people, and some of the white people, because, see, Charles had escaped to slavery, but he made a good life for himself. People loved him. People knew he was honest. He was trustworthy. He was a hardworking man. So Harriet had already told him, be on the lookout for him, because when he come, take him to safety. So Charles come running out through there, and they still beating Harriet and stuff, but Harriet took care of them, because check this out. The people seen Charles coming. They seen Nails coming. They hurried up and put him on the rowboat to take him across the river. While they had him on the rowboat taking him across the river, Harriet had shook all of them off of her, and she done got on the ferry. I don't know what she did with the people that was on the ferry, but they got their ass off or in the water, because Harriet and 400 brothers, sisters, and some allies got on the ferry boat, and they was behind Charles Nails. He was going across the river to safety. Now, across the river, they knew that a slave had escaped. That's what all the commotion about. Because, see, at that time, remember, the newspapers was telling that if a black woman or if a white woman was assaulted, killed, raped, they set the word out. They set the whistle out that a black man is being hunted. There will be a lynching. So white people already knew if it's a commotion, it's about a slave. So on the other side of the river, they thought Nails would be able to get to safety, but when he got over there, they were waiting on it. Because they were like, he ain't coming over here to get away. So they got him, and they took him to another holding spot. Well, when Harriet and the 400 fighters, his fighters, to save Nails, made it across the river, they really didn't know where to go, but see, they honed in where everybody was at. Everybody was paying attention to this building right here. And they had Charles Nails up on the second floor. And people had congregated at that building because, see, you are escaped slave. You're going back, nigger, where you belong. We're sending you back. We got you now. That's the type of stuff they was doing to Charles and stuff. So it wasn't too hard to figure out where they had him at. You see? So everybody got off the ferry boat. Harriet and the brothers got off the ferry boat. When they found the building, and Charles was up on the second floor. Charles Nails was up on the second floor. He could look out, and the street was just covered with thousands of people. And I can just imagine again, he probably was like, they saved me once. They got me. And I was free, but now they got me again. And I imagine all he could think of was all these people want my body. What they want to do to my body. Because he didn't know that Harriet and them came too. But Harriet had told him, you ain't dying today. We here with you. Your people is here. People that love you is here. We're not letting you go back to slavery. So they were downstairs. All the people were downstairs and stuff. And the sheriff knew that they would find out where Nails was at. So the sheriff was standing behind the door. The sheriff was standing behind the door. When they came through the door, because the big black man kicked the door in, boom! And as soon as he stepped like that, the sheriff hit him in the back of the head with a hatchet, and killed him. Well, Charles Nails was sitting in the chair because they had him tied up and stuff, He couldn't really do nothing because they had him tied up. And he seen it. When the door went boom, and he looked up, and his heart just swelled with love and pride and joy, because it's like Harriet told him, you're not dying today. You ain't going to die tonight. But as soon as that happened, he also seen when the sheriff hit brother in back of the head with the hatchet and killed him. Well, he fell right there in the middle of the doorway, and he was a big man. The book said he was a big man. So it blocked the door from closing. So the people that was coming to save Nails, Harriet Tubman was right there, the first one. The people started coming through the door. They were jumping over brother, coming through the door. And the first one that came through the door and the second one, because the sheriff killed the first one. But the first one after him that came through the door seen what happened. So they took care of the sheriff. But Harriet went straight to Nails. I could just imagine. We got to find that story. Prosperity. Harriet went straight to Nails, grabbed him up, and she was gone. She took out with our brother. She was getting him to safety. And Nails, all he could do was hold on because he was still tied up. He couldn't run. She didn't have time to take the ropes off of him. So she just had to throw him over her shoulder and she was gone. The people that was in the room with them was behind them, and they were fighting everybody that were coming at them. Because, see, they knew that the people were coming to get him. Black people, the allies, were coming through windows, honey. They were kicking down other doors and stuff. They were knocking down walls, getting in there to make sure Harriet got to safety with Nails. Black people coming down the chimney. Yes, black man came down the chimney. Shoot. Came right down the chimney, honey, and just started attacking folks because they didn't think that they were going to come that deep. But when Harriet said, "You ain't dying tonight," that's what she meant. So somebody loaned Harriet their stagecoach. So Harriet put Nails on the stagecoach, pretty much just tossed him on there and stuff, and he was good and stuff. He was on the stagecoach. He was free. They came and saved him again. So what happened? They driving the stagecoach, getting away. Because the people that were back there, they still fighting. Some of them were running after them, but they couldn't keep up with them. But they getting away and stuff, but they look over there on the river. Oh, honey, white folks motherfucking asses. They had a boat now. They had a boat. Harriet and Nails is on the stagecoach, and they getting away. But over here, white folks is in the river on another boat, and they shooting at them. So Harriet and them is getting away on the stagecoach. They going on the stagecoach. The horse is running high speed. Over here, the white folks is on the motherfucking boat shooting at the stagecoach as it's going away with Nails. Damn this thing. Because in the middle, before when they got to the building, see, all the people asked them, "Can we buy?" It didn't even have to go to that. It didn't even have to get that far because they were willing to buy Charles's freedom. They was willing to buy Nails' freedom. But see, white folks, they felt like his master felt like he mine. That body belonged to me. So the master said, "No, we don't want the money. We want the body." So the black people, Charles Nails' family, friends, the family that he worked for, his co-workers and stuff, they all put together money to buy his freedom. So when they didn't want to accept the money, they used the money and got him a lawyer. That's how they ended up going to that trial. Because they said, "Hell, you don't want to accept the money and let us buy his freedom. We gonna get a lawyer and sue your ass for his freedom." So that's how they end up going to the courthouse for that trial, because they had to have that trial before they sent Nails back to his master. But anyway, they was able to save Charles Nails, and he moved to Canada, somewhere out of the country, and then he was able to come back to the United States, and he lived a long, happy life. I want to say he moved to where he was from, but that could have been another story that we read about. But it's the thing is, it's fascinating. We never gave up. We never give up. Black America never gives up. We stay in this fight. Like Vernon John said, if you see a good fight, you get in it. This is the good fight. Black people, Black America is the good fight, the only fight that we need to be concerned about today. Now, there's a lot of things going on out here in the world. So many things. If I was to talk about them, we'll never even get a chance to talk about our ancestors. If I was to talk about things that was going on in the world, and we're going to get to those things. But first thing first, We need to be armed. First thing first, we need to be armed. Oh, don't forget, we learned about the compromises. The compromise, and then it was the compromise of 1850. Then there was the Kansas-Nebraska Act, and yeah, we learned about some black soldiers of the Civil War. We will go through some more of those things right there. But yeah, let's get some reading done before, I got to get out of here and stuff. And I'll be back tonight. Oh, this is awesome. Yeah, but I'll be back tonight, and we'll continue our reading. We did finish. Reading racial violence in Kentucky, 1865 to 1940. We finished that book. So we have read Red Summer, the summer of 1919, and the Awakening of Black America. And we have read Racial Violence in Kentucky, 1865 to 1940. We read our inventors, scholars. Then we read, sorry about that, I'll get to in just a minute. We read our book of Black Heroes. Then we had some printouts of African American inventors and scientists. I have some notes that I had taken some years ago. They're written down somewhere, but we'll find those also. And we'll read those also, because this segment right here for noon is for our power hour. Yeah, this is like our power hour. Everybody got them power hour. So this right here will be like for our power hour, to give us some power, give us that oomph that we need for this fight. And I was telling you about Pap. This is gonna be my last story right here, because I didn't even write Pap on here. Pap Singleton, Benjamin Pap Singleton. See, what happened was black people was fed up. Enough was enough in the South. Now, I was under the impression that black people only went to the North. However, black people migrated to the West also. It's called the Great Exodus. So black people left, like throngs of black people left the South and went west to Kansas, because what happened was Pap from Tennessee, Pap had enough of the bullshit. And Pap took out walking. Pap was walking to Kansas. And he was telling everybody he passed, come on, we sick of this shit. We leaving. We going to Kansas City. And he was telling about all the wonderful things in Kansas City and how it would be, and having a new life. We could try it. We can try it out. We can advance ourselves. What needs improving, we can improve it. We can start over. So thousands of black people left. Yeah. I imagine by the time he got where he was going, it was at least 10,000 people with him. But the Great Exodus was actually like 50,000 people. So all them people left the South, went west to Kansas. Some of them thrived in Kansas. Some of them became wealthy. Some of them lived, build, and they had legacies, prosperity. But some black people, felt like it was the wrong move to make, because they couldn't fare. They couldn't make anything grow. The winters, it spoke about the winters. The winters was very bad in Kansas. It was so cold and brutal, and they starved. There was a lot of starvation, because by it being so cold there and stuff, you can't even grow nothing during that winter if you ain't got stuff stored up during the summer. From the summertime, then you pretty much gonna freeze and starve in Kansas. And that's what happened to a lot of black people. So a whole lot of them went back down south to where it was familiar at. They knew what to avoid. They knew who to avoid, and they knew how to make allowances for something that they need. We ain't got meat. We'll just eat vegetables and fruit and bread. And so that's what happened. But anyway, the white people down south was pissed. They were panicking. Where the hell is black people? Where is black? I didn't see no black folks. Where's black people? Hey, Bob, you seen blacks? You seen blackness? Ain't nobody seeing black people. Black people were gone. Because Pap came through there. Let's go. We leaving. Get your things. Let's go. Give me that baby here. We going. Give me both of the babies. Put the bag on my back. They put the bag on his back and stuff. Pap was helping everybody. Everybody helping everybody. It's time to go. The Great Exodus, what it was called. So white folks was pissed. They was in a panic. Oh no, who gonna feed these babies? Who gonna cook this food? Oh my God. The crops. Oh, my shirt needs to be ironed. Oh no. Everything was just peaking for white folks. They couldn't handle nothing. They were panicking stuff. So they wanted to know what happened? What happened? So they started questioning black folks. Asking black folks, where you been? And how you get there? Who told y'all to leave? Pap came along. I don't know if the word must have spread or what, honey. But Pap came along and told them I did. I told them let's go. I told them to get their kids, get their clothes, get everything they own. We leaving. Yep. Sure did, honey. Them folks couldn't stand Pap Singleton. No, they could not stand Benjamin Pap Singleton and nobody that looked like him, talked like him, thought like him, and told the people come on like him. Because he wasn't standing for it. Pap was just like, this is bullshit. Let's go. And that was it. Black people like, yeah, you're right, brother. You're right. Let's go. Let's try something new. And that was what the lesson was. To try something new. Yeah, I know, right? You so magnificent. You awesome, Black America. Now, see, I know whose side I'm on. Let's be on our side. That's who we are. We were black first, and we're going to be black last. Yeah, we was black before we were anything else. Marvelous people, exceptional people, a brave people, so courageous. Can't nothing keep us down. You got to have multiple agendas, multiple events. White supremacy never stops. Neely Fuller said it works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's what Neely Fuller said. Yeah. And you know, people thought Neely was crazy. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing talks about it. We're going to watch her too. But she talks about it. She got some books, I believe. The Color Theory. Yeah. But she said that people thought Neely Fuller was crazy when he said that these folks going to have the black man in a dress in 30 years. Honey, now look. Honey, it's like we done forgot all about having babies. Who we think gonna have black babies if we don't? Oh, shit. Now, I did come across something that I had wrote, and I think it was the Astrazine. Astrazine, I think, I can't even leave this screen and Google. And Astrazine is the chemical, the drug, the chemical that it changes your hormone structure, I guess. There was a study some years ago about the frogs. See, all this is new to me too. It's new to me too. Don't act like I've been knowing this. Because you know, if I've been knowing this, I'd have been no told it. I would have been no told us what the hell we need to know. Because ain't nobody else telling us. So the frogs, they was able to change the sexes of the frogs. The male frogs ended up female, and the female frogs ended up male. Same thing with people, with humans, with human beings, mankind, man and woman. Yeah. And a few lives ago, I was telling y'all that I saw that one video, Trump talking about something against LGBTQ. I think I said it right. And I was just thinking to myself, so damn. Because I said it. I said, damn, they going to fuck around and stop being LGBTQ and same sex and all that stuff, and leave black people being just that. Because see, black people, once we become a way, we usually stay that way. I don't know if it's because we got a complex with saying, hey, I was wrong. I shouldn't have never had my penis cut off. You know, hey, I was wrong. I should have never had my breast cut off. Black people have a problem saying, hey, I was wrong. I made a mistake. So I just think to myself, well, damn, is he trying to say that now all of a sudden they finna stop being bisexual, gay, lesbian, queer, transgender? Because see, y'all sprung all of that on us. Y'all sprung all of them labels on us. We didn't know what all that was. We knew about Rock Hudson and, you know, others. But y'all have literally forced it to be a part of our lifestyles. So don't get mad at me because it ain't a priority in my lifestyle. But I know one thing, when everybody else say we not going to be this no more, now we finna straighten up. Black America not going to be able to do that. Now because the shame that all my ancestors, what have I done? Oh, my ancestors, what have I done against life itself? Nothing but keep on faking the funk. But see, Black America, it's okay. It's okay if you did cut off your boobs and your penis, you know, to try to be the other. It's okay. You just won't have those assets no more. But you still got your mind and you still got your heart. You still a person. You can still come out and say, don't do that bullshit. Do not do that bullshit that they putting out here. Because it ain't nothing but another agenda. It ain't nothing but another illusion. And that's where, see, our weakest links gonna have to, you know, be honest with themselves, be loyal with themselves, be loyal with your people. Because hell, everybody else is being loyal to their people after they set up the illusion, of course. Now, it looked like everybody was doing it. Yep, it looked like everybody was doing the same thing. Then black people started doing it. Now other folks are slacking off. Oh, yeah, I didn't mean to do all that. I changed my mind about the surgery. Some folks is even suing because they feel like they was rushed into making them life-changing decisions. But you wanted it so bad, Black America. You know, and then some folks got the money, they can go, hell, sew it back on. Sew it back on, put it back on. Give me a new one. Prosperity. But Black America, we are without those benefits. So yes, we must use discernment. We must use discernment on everything, with everybody. Because of the self-hate within us, we have to really use discernment with us. Ask yourself, who taught you to hate yourself? And you can't stand to look at yourself or somebody that look like you. I know, right? Where's my teeth? Right here behind me. You know that pop ain't good for you anyway. Oh, ain't, honey. But we find it hard. We find it hard to make these necessary changes because we've been so slighted. We've been brainwashed. so thoroughly. Yep. Everybody slights us. Everybody do it. Yep. Give them just enough. If you ain't got to give them that, then don't. Yep. Everybody do it. Everybody do it. And we know who we have to thank for that. So let's do our little reading here. Let's get a little reading in. On the night of, this here's the Spanish-American War era. On the night of February 15th, 1898, a terrible explosion shattered the quiet harbor of Havana, Cuba. It was the sound of the United States battleship Maine ripping apart. The explosion killed 260 officers and enlisted men of the United States Army. So it killed 260 officers and enlisted men. 22 African Americans were among the dead. At the time of the accident, no one knew for sure what caused the explosion. Oh, please don't tell me somebody tried to kill them black men. The explosion was investigated by both the American and Spanish governments. The Spanish government claimed that the explosion was caused by something on board the ship. But the American government felt that the explosion was caused by an underwater mine planted by the Spanish force. Whatever the cause, the incident was the beginning of a chain of events that started the Spanish-American War. This war between the United States and Spain had been brewing for some time. 1, America had invested heavily in Cuban sugar plantations, mills, mines, and railroads. 2, in 1895, the Cubans revolted against Spanish rule. 3, in 1896, the Spanish sent a new ruler to Cuba. His name was General Valeriano Wheeler. General Valeriano. That's Valeriano. Wheeler is Weyler. To the Cubans, he was known as Butcher because he was such a mean ruler. 4, he sent thousands of Cubans to concentration camps. These camps were made by stringing sections of the towns and places with barbed wire to keep the Cubans from escaping. The camps were crowded and dirty. They were places of disease, suffering, and death. 5, American newspapers carried the stories of this brutal treatment. Many Americans had sympathy for the Cubans. 6, African Americans were especially sympathetic toward the oppressed Cubans. They were still remembering an earlier incident in which Antonia Maceo, Antonia Maceo, Antonia Maceo, the black Cuban general, led his black and mulatto guerrillas to attack Spanish soldiers. They burned mills and terrorized the enemy. After several periods of successful attacks, the Spanish invited Maceo to a peace talk. 7, when General Maceo arrived, he was shot and killed by Spanish infantrymen. The Spanish had tricked him. 8, many Americans had hoped that the United States would help Cuba to overthrow the Spanish ruler in Cuba. They believed that the United States should also expand to include other territories outside of the United States mainland. The Americans wanted war, but President McKinley waited. At first, it seemed that Spain was loosening its hold on Cuba. 9, then the people who were siding with the Spanish started a revolt. 10, on January 25th, 1898, the United States battleship Maine arrived to protect American lives and its interests in Cuba. When the battleship arrived in Havana, Cuba, it was received with courtesy. Come on in. You're welcome. Come on in. You're invited. Come on in. We welcome you. So, when the battleship arrived in Havana, Cuba, it was received with courtesy. Then, on the night of February the 15th, the Maine exploded. Blue! They blew it up. They ushered it, perhaps, in my opinion. They probably ushered it right over that mine craft where they knew that mine was under there. Come on in, right here. When the U.S. government received word of the explosion, the war cry went out. Remember the Maine! 13. Congress voted $89 million in support of the war. That was 13. 14. On April 19th, 1898, war was declared on the Spanish forces. Black troops and officers in the Spanish-American War. When the Spanish-American War began in April of 1898, neither country was prepared for war. The Spanish army was strong and well armed, but they were fighting far from extra ammunition and weapons back in their home country, Spain. Their crews had not been trained properly, and their supplies were short. So they wasn't prepared. Neither country was prepared, Spanish or American. The United States Army was not the best that it could be either. The regular army consisted of only 28,000 enlisted men scattered over the country. It would have to be reinforced. It would have to be reinforced by thousands of volunteers. The United States had not been involved in a large-scale war since the Civil War, 1861 to 1865, that freed the slaves. It was handicapped by a shortage of rifles, uniforms, and medicines. There was not even a transporter to carry soldiers to Cuba. When the call from volunteers went out, 182,000 men answered the call. Among the 180,000 volunteers were thousands of black soldiers. Thousands of black soldiers. Over 16 black regiments of soldiers served in the Spanish-American War. How many regiments was it in all? All state volunteer units, except those from Alabama, had black officers. Yep. All state volunteer units had black officers, except Alabama. One infantry battalion from Ohio was led by a black major, Charles Young. Several black officers received commissions. Captain William J. Williams and Lieutenants William Herbert Jackson and George Braxton were commissioned by Governor Wolcott of Massachusetts. These three officers were part of the L Company of the 6th Massachusetts Regiment. It later became the base of the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Volunteers, who gained fame during the Civil War. During the war, Charles Young rose from second lieutenant to major. John R. Lynch, a former black congressman from Mississippi, became a major. James Young and John R. Marshall became colonels. Colonel John R. Marshall, who was the son of slaves and who studied at Hampton Institute in Virginia, was the first black to attain the rank of colonel. Yes, and that was Colonel John R. Marshall. Both of his parents were slaves. During the Spanish-American War, many of the black officers met with opposition from white officers. Your ass couldn't even focus on the enemy for looking at the black man, trying to make him the enemy. Once a regiment of white officers refused to accept their paychecks from Major John R. Lynch, a black man. They literally refused to get their paycheck because a black man was the one delivering it. He probably signed it. So this incident was reported first to the Army General, General Stanton, Staton. President McKinley later approved the dispatch message. The message was that if the white troops wished to have their paychecks, they would have to receive them from Major Lynch or go without their motherfucking pay. How the hell we fighting this war and your ass being petty because you can't be in the sun? How that make sense? How do that make sense? Is it even his fault because you can't go in the sun? Now, do you want your paycheck or not? Because we damn sure want our reparations. So cut our check. Black valor. Oh, honey, it was an accident out here this morning. It was so bad. Yes. Earlier today, they still sweeping up some of the stuff where the neighbors is. The little lights and stuff. When the United States declared war on Spanish forces in Cuba, black soldiers said goodbye to their families and friends and prepared themselves for battle. Black men was ready to go. Anytime it was a war, black men was ready to go. When the United States declared war on Spanish forces in Cuba, black soldiers said goodbye to their families, their friends, and prepared themselves for battle. The 24th and 25th Infantries and the 9th and 10th Cavalries were among the first to be sent to Cuba. Black soldiers was treated unfairly from the very beginning. Once, while the 25th Infantry of black soldiers was in Tampa, Florida, waiting to be transported to Cuba, other soldiers was given permission to go ashore. But black troops was not given shore. They wasn't given shore leave unless they went as a group led by a white officer. The black troops were assigned to living quarters in the very bottom of the ship. These quarters were usually hot and stuffy. White troops were allowed to mingle with friends and buddies on the deck of the ship. But black troops were not permitted to have deck privileges. These and many other unfair practices against black soldiers made Army life especially difficult. Despite the odds against them, on the battlefield, the black soldiers distinguished themselves time and time and time again. They saw action at San Juan, Las Guasimas, and El Caney. Las Guasimas and El Caney, Caney. They later fought with Lieutenant Colonel Theodore Roosevelt and the 1st Volunteer Cavalry, known as the Rough Riders. 2 black units, the 9th Cavalry and the 10th Cavalry, gave such important support to the Rough Riders during a San Juan Hill battle that it is said without their support, the Rough Riders would have been completely wiped out. Wiped the fuck out. If it wasn't for the black troops, the black soldiers. The 9th and 10th Cavalries showed their gallantry at San Juan Hill and brought many favorable comments about their courage. Nobody had nothing to say but the good, brave, courageous, put their lives on the line. No, white folks hated that. Black soldiers fought with such valor that 5 of them received the Congressional Medal of Honor, and 100 of them was commissioned as officers during the war. The deeds of 2 individual black soldiers of the Spanish-American War, are listed below. The first one is T.C. Butler. When the Spaniards were entrenched on a hill near a blockhouse, the American troops of the 24th and the 25th Infantry was growing weak. They were growing weak. They couldn't hold them off no more. They couldn't. They didn't know what to do. They was weak. They was tired. They was sleepy. They was disgruntled. It just looked like, it wasn't no hope for them. Time was nearing. The black soldiers pushed forward. T.C. was the first man to enter the blockhouse. T.C. was. He took possession of the Spanish flag and delivered it to the American commander. Elijah B. Tunnell. He was the first black American to die in the Spanish-American War. Tunnell was a cook aboard the United States ship Winslow. The Winslow had been disabled, and it was being towed away by another United States ship, the Wilmington. Tunnell had left his work below the deck to help fasten the tow line. A shell exploded over the ship, killing Tunnell and 3 other workers. The Spanish-American War lasted only 4 months. It began in April 1898, and it ended in August 1898. At the end of the war, the United States won control over Guam, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines. It was an important war to win. By winning, the United States was soon recognized as a strong military power, and black American soldiers had helped to make it so. Because if it wasn't for the black military soldiers and the troops, it never would have been won. The war never would have been won. This one or the Civil War never would have been won. Charles Young. Did we read about Charles Young? No. Well, let's read it now. Charles Young, a brave war hero. Charles Young was born on March 12th, 1864, in a small village of Mayslick, Kentucky. Mayslick, Kentucky. That's where Charles Young was born, Mayslick, Kentucky. When he was just a youngster, his parents moved to Ripley, Ohio. He finished high school there and became a teacher. In 1884, he was appointed to attend the United States Military Academy at West Point. He was the 9th African American to be appointed to the academy. But up to 1877, none had remained to graduate. You know how that went. The reason, you know why? The reason was that many white Southern cadets made it difficult for black students entering the academy. Told you. Many would not even speak to the black cadets. Prosperity. And they found many ways to harass black cadets. But Charles Young was determined to stick it out. He performed his duty and studied very hard. When he graduated in 1889, he was commissioned a second lieutenant of an all-black unit of soldiers, the 10th Cavalry. In 1894, he was transferred to a job as an instructor of military science at Wilberforce University, a black university in Ohio. When the Spanish-American War began in April 1988, he was appointed a major in charge of the 9th Ohio Regiment that was transferred to Cuba. It was the 9th Cavalry and the 10th Cavalry that showed such courageous fighting with Colonel Theodore Roosevelt and the famous Rough Riders. We just read about them in the previous page. After the Spanish-American War, Young served with military units in the Philippine Islands and in Haiti, In 1915, the 10th Cavalry, commanded by Young, rescued Major Tompkins when they were ambushed by the Mexicans. Newspaper reports of Charles Young's leadership and bravery were widely read. Soon afterwards, he was made a lieutenant colonel, leading many raids into the bandit-infested desert of Mexico. In 1917, when the United States entered World War I, Young was expected to be assigned to European service, but he was not. Charles Young and other African Americans were very disappointed. He had been a very brave and daring soldier and leader. He was the highest ranking black officer in the armed forces. Yet, he was not considered for active duty. Why? Ask African Americans. Why? Ask African Americans. He deserved it. He earned it. Who else was better? Who? Who else was better? They couldn't even look around for nobody because wasn't nobody better. They just picked somebody other than him. And it's still the same way today. Instead of assigning him to active duty, the Army placed him on the list of officers to be retired. Ready to sacrifice their own self, ready to just sacrifice than to do the right thing. Okay. The reason given was that Young was ill. To prove the Army wrong, Colonel Young rode horseback all the way from his hometown of Xenia, Ohio, to Washington, D.C., 500 miles. Then he talked personally with Newton Baker, the Secretary of War. But Baker did not change things for him. Young then rode his horse back to Xenia and prepared himself for retirement. Then, only 5 days before the war ended, he was ordered to Grant, Illinois, to train soldiers there. Them motherfuckers don't know what the fuck they wanted to do. And you still don't. You just decided we're going to go for the evil. We're going to go for anti-life. We're going to go for anti-black. So 5 days after they done made it like he ill, he got to retire. Instead of putting him in this position, we so need Phil with the best man. We're going to retire his ass and we're going to put this simp, this white man with no skill, no talent, no intuition, no discernment. Not like Charles Young, who was divinely designed for the position. Then 5 days before he was to retire, they're going to call him and tell him, oh, we need you to train some soldiers. All right, it is what it is. When the war was over, he was sent to Monrovia, Liberia, to help organize the Liberian army. Colonel Young wasn't just a brave and courageous soldier. He had other interests as well. He loved to write poetry and music during his spare time. He also wrote a play and then a book about Toussaint Louverture. Toussaint Louverture, the Haitian slave who started a revolt against the French. In Xenia, Ohio, in his hometown church, Young rewrote many old hymns and serenades. He played the piano and cornet. In addition to English, he also spoke 3 other languages well: Spanish, German, and French. In 1992, Colonel Young went from Liberia to Lagos, Nigeria, to gather material to write a book. It was there that Colonel Young contracted a fever and died. He was far away from home, but his body was returned to Arlington National Cemetery, where he was buried with full military honors. A tall marble shaft marks his grave. And that was Charles Young. Ooh, the Great Migration. This may be the last one for now. The Great Migration. Whoa, now we read about the Great Exodus. Pap, telling everybody, let's go. Let's go. Now. And they all went west to Kansas. This here's the Great Migration. Let's learn. When the United States entered World War I in 1917, thousands of workers were taken from factory jobs in the North to fight in the war. If these factories were to continue operating, replacement workers would be needed. The women. Factory agents toured the South. They signed up black farm laborers and other black Americans who were looking for a better way of life. Oh, okay. It wasn't women. This draining away of cheap farm labor caused great concern among the Southern white farmers. They were taken by surprise when thousands of African Americans began leaving the South. Told you they were panicking. Southern politicians, public officials, and others tried desperately to stop the migration. Please, black people, don't go. Don't go nowhere, please. We'll pay you. You can work for us. We'll pay you fair. We'll treat you good. We always try to treat you good now. If you just stay, just don't go. We need you to help us with the farm. We need you to help us with the machinery. Who's going to shoe the horses? We need you to help with the babies. Who's going to feed the babies? Mammy, please don't leave. Stay, Mammy. Mrs. needs you. Look, the slave master needs you. Don't go, please. So white people were panicking. They didn't know what to do. They were trying their hard. Black people, please don't leave. Please don't go, black people. We need you. Don't leave. Don't leave. Stay. We'll treat you good. We'll pay you. Oh, yeah. We'll give you all the old stuff we don't wear no more. We'll give you all the food we ain't eating and stuff. Just don't go. We'll pay you good money. Clothes. But black people were like that. Fuck that. We had enough. We leaving. So, but blacks would not be stopped. They were being called north by relatives and friends who lived there. Our friends and relatives were calling us. Telling us, girl, you better get your ass up here, honey. Fuck them damn white folks down there. Fuck that slavery shit. Come on up here where you can get up every day. It's busy every day. You can go make you a living. You can be happy. You can be free. Yeah, you probably gotta work 7 days a week so you can pay your bills and stuff, but you're free. That's what free people do. So black people like, fuck y'all, we leaving. And that was that. So they wrote letters of hope and encouragement, urging their Southern friends and family to join them in the great opportunity that awaited them. The black Southerners were more than ready to leave the South. They were tired of living in poverty. They were tired of having their children grow up without a good education. They were tired of living year after year with no improvements in their lives. So the black Southern Americans packed their meager belongings and headed north to a freer, fuller life. You know, other than the sound, when the sirens come by, we give respect to the, our brother who invented the sirens, the ambulance. Charles Drew invented the blood bank to store the blood and stuff. So that whole conglomerate like that right there for our inventors and scientists that have contributed so much to our medical needs and resources that we still use today. We just wait till the sirens pass. Yeah, let's just give respect where respect is due. So yeah, black people weren't hearing. Black people weren't trying to hear that bullshit. Keep your money, keep your land, keep your tours. You can keep them murals now. We leaving. We are leaving. The house, this little shack, which it wasn't nothing but the slave quarters. You ain't never fixed them holes in it. We tired of this shit. We leaving. We out of here. At first, There were plenty of available jobs in the northern cities. Few African Americans had ever earned high wages that were being paid in the northern cities, in the northern factories. Few African Americans had ever earned high wages that were being paid in the northern factories. Many of them moved to the northern cities for one reason only: a decent pay for a day's work. They began to vote and take part in civic affairs. Their children could go to decent schools and even hope to go on to college. Everything went very well for a while, but soon more and more Black Americans were moving north. Then it happened. As more Black Americans moved north, living conditions grew worse. The Black population of industry cities such as Philadelphia, New York, Pittsburgh, Chicago, and Detroit doubled and even tripled in the years between 1914 and 1920. Housing became scarce. It was too many. Too many came. And it just overwhelmed, Too many came, it overwhelmed. Now, if some white people, had to move down south, then, it probably could have leveled off. But, it was just too many. Housing became scarce. There were few places to lie. Sometimes 2 or 3 families lived crowded together in a single apartment. Housing was poor, but rent was high as hell. There were many Blacks competing for jobs. There was simply not enough to go around. If Blacks did earn enough to move to a nicer neighborhood, they found that white people banded together to keep them out. When African Americans tried to get better housing and jobs, they faced hate and prejudice from white Americans. White America. Blacks began to be treated unfairly on the job and in stores, theaters, schools, and other public places. Now, wasn't this the white folks, white America up north, that was against slavery? There was some racist folks in the north too. There was some racist white folks in the north too. But I just find that how come that little small group that decided, oh, we really don't want you here like this, how come they were able to expand that notion when they weren't from the South? Down South, we know. Oh, they were ready for it. They were listening, looking on the watch out. You seen, was any white women raped? Was any white women attacked by Black people? Was any white women killed by Black people? But in the North, it was a few here, a few there and stuff. But in the North, they all began to be the same way too. We don't want them here. Why they're here? We never wanted them here like that. So it began to be a problem for Black people being in the North. Yeah. So, when Black people did make enough money and moved to the white neighborhoods, white people banded together to get them out because they didn't want them there. Blacks began to be treated unfairly on the job and in the stores, theaters, schools, and other public places. Black Americans were beginning to become disappointed because they were not finding the peace and freedom that they had dreamed of having. We'll never have peace and freedom if we don't look for it with us. They were frustrated. During this time, there were racial clashes and riots in the northern cities. Even though things had not worked out as planned, Black Americans had learned quite a bit from their northern move. They had learned the importance of the vote. They had the opportunity to participate in civil and social affairs. See, down south, they couldn't do none of that. That was off the table. You better not even try to vote. Unfortunately, they had also learned that they were not welcome or accepted any place in America. Nowhere in America. That's also what they learned. But they had learned too that the road to equality and justice would be long and hard to travel. Most of all, they had learned that there was still hope for a better and fuller life, and they wanted it. So at some point, I feel like Black America was like, oh, if we can handle this cold and, stocking our food up during the summer and fall months so we can have it during the winter months for a better life, that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. To hell with anybody and everybody. We ain't going back down south unless that's the only way to make it easier for us. Because see, down south, they knew what to avoid. They knew who to avoid, who to stay away from. All right, the war, this will be the last one. No lie. Okay, the World War I era. When Woodrow Wilson was sworn into office in January 1913, war clouds were gathering in Europe. The next year, Europe was involved in a bloody war. Many Americans had hoped that the United States would remain at peace, but this was not the case. On April 6, 1917, Congress declared war on Germany. Many Americans felt that their freedom was at stake. Like all Americans, Black Americans was quick to come to the call for their country. Black Americans to the rescue. They felt, as they had in the past wars, that things would be better for them after the war. More than 400,000 Black soldiers and sailors served in the armed forces in World War I, II. Black soldiers fought in every war that there was. Black soldiers fought hard to keep the freedom of the United States, but they had little freedom. They had little freedom here for themselves. While serving in the Army or Navy, Black soldiers met with many problems. Segregation and prejudice had followed them into the war. Oh yeah, it followed them in the war. I know, damn this thing. This was especially true in the training camps in the South. Black soldiers were often cussed, beaten, and kicked around by white townspeople in the South. Not the white soldiers and troops, the white townspeople. You motherfuckers. You see this Black man in his uniform, in his military suit, fighting for freedom, and your ass want to kick him and cuss him out. They're white America. These people did not seem to understand that these same Black soldiers whom they were mistreating were the ones who was to fight to keep America free for everybody. Everybody. We learned it earlier in our books that although Black people fought, desired, it was a craving for them to be free and to have the liberty and the pursuit of happiness that was rightly ordained to them. Even though that was the case, they always said for everybody, for everyone, for all people, not just us. But they should have been saying for Black people only, because motherfuckers did the same thing to them. For the Black soldier, segregation was the rule in the Army, as it had been in the training camps. Over 200,000 Black servicemen who were sent to Europe served in labor battalions. They loaded supplies. Repaired military roads, kept military camps clean. They cooked and did other humble chores necessary to keep the army going. That's what Black soldiers did. They went over and beyond. Some units, however, were involved in combat, fighting. Yeah, combat. Ooh. The 369th Infantry spent 191 days in the trench. In the trench, fire in the hole. You know, they was in the trench fighting in the middle of the war, in the thick of it. And they spent 191 days in the trenches. They fought so bravely that they were decorated by the French government with the Croix de Guerre. Croix de Guerre. That's Croixdeguerre. It means the cross of war. And it was on a award. So the 369th Infantry spent 191 days in the trenches. How long is that 191 days? It's 30 days in a month. Ooh, about 9 months. 11 months. Add it up and put it in the comments. Please. They fought so bravely that they were decorated by the French government with the Croix de Guerre. That's the Cross of War award. Black soldiers participated in the battles of Argonne, Black soldiers participated in the battles of Argonne, Chateau Theory, the Chateau-Thierry, Saint Milhiel, Saint-Milhiel. They fought at the Battle of Champagne, Vosges, that's Vosges, Vosges, and Metz, Metz. The Croix de Guerre was awarded to 171 Black soldiers. 2 of these soldiers, Henry Johnson of Albany, New York, and Needham Roberts of Trenton, New Jersey, were outstanding Black heroes of the war. Both men received the Distinguished French Croix de Guerre Award. Another Black regiment, the 370th, a unit with all Black officers, was also in combat. They were fighting too. These men fought so bravely that they were awarded 16 Distinguished Service Crosses and 75 Croix de Guerre awards. Black soldiers was one other division served in the Allied war effort. It was made up of the 365th through the 368 regiments. Only the 368th regiment was engaged in combat duty, fighting. The other ones was in the other areas of the war, the cooks, medical, and other things like that, the other areas of the war. Because not everybody's fighting combat. When them soldiers is hurt and stuff, they got to bring them to the medical personnel, the cooks has got to be cooking and stuff. It's war. 5 men of the 368th was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross. The whole regiment was cited by the French government for bravery. At the end of the war, Black soldiers had proven to other people, to others, that they were the brave, courageous soldiers that they knew they was. All along. They knew they was brave for this. They knew it. And we got to go with the Black military women before we go. We got to go with the Black military women before we go. Because just like the Black military man was brave, courageous, could nothing tell him he was wrong and he couldn't do it, the Black woman was just the same. The African American woman played an outstanding role in the military services of this country. During World War I, Black women helped in the war as members of the Red Cross, Women's Auxiliaries of Military Union, and canteen war workers. One of these outstanding Black World War I women was Mary Talbot Burnett. She was a patriot worker during World War I and Red Cross nurse with the American Expeditionary Forces, and Red Cross nurse with the American Expeditionary Forces in France. Mary Talbot was born and educated in Oberlin, Ohio. At the age of 19, she received her bachelor's degree and went on to earn her PhD from the University of Buffalo. And during the World War I, Mary Talbot Burnett enlisted as a Red Cross nurse and saw active duty in France. Yep. When she returned home from the war, she found that America was still the country that prevented African Americans from enjoying equal rights. Ain't that a bitch? She began to help in the struggle for Black rights. From 1916 to 1920, she served as president of the Colored National Association of Women's Club and director of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Through both of these organizations, she fought for first-class citizenship for African Americans. She then launched a crusade against lynching. She traveled throughout the United States speaking to people, asking them to support a bill in Congress to stop the lynching. That's death at the hands of the mob. We've been reading about it. Stop the lynching of Black Americans. In 1922, she became president of the Frederick Douglass Memorial Association, and she helped to restore the home of Frederick Douglass, the great Black abolitionist, speaker, and leader. In 1920, she was a delegate to the International Council of Women in Norway. In 1922, she was awarded the Spingarn Medal. Afterwards, she traveled throughout Europe speaking on race relations and women's rights. Yes. And these right here are just a few. These here are just some of our greatest heroes, sheroes, and saviors who saved us from slavery. That was their first, their final, some of them thought, was that this can't happen to our future generations. Yes, they most surely loved us, and we must love them back. Ooh. And peace and power to the people. And we will see you. Oh, let's watch. Did you know once we start a video, we do not cut it off? Now it is different. Let me pause it. Let me pause it so I can explain a little bit here, because we only have a few minutes. But once we start a video, we do not stop it. This video is about police brutality. It is not even concerning. It's what I was watching earlier, but it's not about our African American heroes. It's not about the lynching, the past lynching. It's about modern lynching, though. So we're gonna watch it, right? All right. So let's get to it. Oh, and then I was watching Donahue also. Yeah, but we're gonna go ahead with. Where is it? Dang, don't tell me I lost it. No. Okay, there it is. I won't be able to share it. It's giving me a different screen every time I try to go on it. But I do want to share this part right here. I meant to share this part right here, and it's just a little excerpt from the Donahue show in 1994. Khalid Muhammad was on the show. I love Khalid Muhammad. He wasn't afraid of nobody. So we're going to watch him before we go. We'll be back tonight.
(859-0170). I say again, this 800 number is 859-0170, the Black African Holocaust Council. The gentleman has a question of Mr. Muhammad. Are we going to preach hate? Are we going to have a race war? Where are we going, and what would you like to do to promote where you think we should go?
We are taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to show courtesy, respect, and kindness to be polite to all people as long as they are courteous, respectful, kind, and
That's
polite
right.
to us.
Us,
But
all
we
of
must
us.
look at the fact that we don't teach hatred. Everywhere we go as black people, we face hatred. Look at it. Look at it. Angel food cake, white people say, is white. Devil's food cake, you say, is black. You wear white to weddings and black to funerals. Blackball. Blackmail. You give us a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, pale-skinned, buttermilk complexion Jesus in contradiction to the
My
black
brother.
Jesus with nappy hair in the Bible. Our own babies, according to behavioral scientists, our baby girls, when confronted with choosing between a black doll and a white doll, there's been so much damage done. They choose the white doll and say the black doll is ugly. So racism is everywhere and it's institutionalized. We cannot really be racist because racism is prejudice plus power. Nothing I say up here nor anywhere in the world will impact, stop fronting, will impact on any white folks in this audience, on your job, in politics, in economics, in housing, in the society. We don't have the power to do that, so we cannot be racist. You know what I'm saying?
I would just like to say to this gentleman, I would like to say to this gentleman and all other people who are not blessed with melanin at this point in time, to understand that what has happened in our history is that you have been misinformed as much as we have been misinformed. Much of the information that is brought forth, not only from Dr. Muhammad, but other areas, other scholars, are not available to you, as a sister said, in your curriculums that you have for 400 years when you did not allow us to read and write and was being hidden. Whether you, sir, personally did that or not, it was a legacy that was passed on to you. And I end by saying the Holocaust is simply the greatest atrocity on film. Ours was not filmed.
Yes, our Holocaust was not filmed. Our Holocaust was not filmed. Matter of fact, if we don't start telling our own stories, those that have told our stories will no longer be. These books that told our stories will not be reprinted. We're not telling our stories. They're not being reprinted. So our future generations will have no way to remember, to connect what's happened with what's happening, which in turn allows it to happen again. So, yes, we have much work to do, and we here for it with you, Black America. Peace and power to the people.